adaptability itself is adapting in a way to the organizational culture. Now, this changed definition, the expectations now on adaptability, are they putting a different kind of pressure on organizations, newer employees, older employees, senior? How has the friction or the relationship among them changed because of this changing definition of adaptability?
Yeah, I'll just start from most of our companies where we work with or where we see. Adaptability is one of their attitudes or competencies that they keep. Earlier, I'm talking about when I started probably my career, probably adaptability was understood as something that somebody who can adapt to the organizational culture, right? Now I think those definitions have changed quite a lot. Adaptability is to the need of the hour now. Even the people who are in the organization for long have to be more adaptable, and the youngsters also have to be more adaptable to the changing technologies or changing requirements or expectations of the customers. So I think that's, and with the technology growing, I think the things are getting fueled every day. We thought IT was the end of everything, right now IT itself, things are changing. Now we're thinking twice whether IT is right or wrong, because now every day you have to think of new things. So I see it that way. It is about adapting to what is required at that point of time, as what is demanded by the market or the customers.
So, so being an HR professional, we get that vantage point to understand how a typical human being respond to situations, and probably understand the premise and the frame of reference each and everybody takes when they respond to. Okay. See, so over last 20-25 years, if I reflect upon the world, what we were experiencing were not that complex and tight what we are now seeing and experiencing. And the kind of expectation out of every individual to perform, and the way the managers understand each and every individual also has gone through a very, very sea change. Okay. So the definition of outcome expectation, the definition of performance, the pace at which things have to be executed, all this particular thing has undergone a huge change. And especially, I mean, if you take it in Indian context, we are a very impatient country. I mean, our capital is very impatient. Okay, capital, the kind of money we are putting into it, that itself is very impatient. Okay, and the kind of aspiration, the collective aspiration of country is also very, very at a certain level, and especially in the recent time, that kind of an expectation and the kind of goals we set for ourselves is also very, very tall order. And also, if you look at the society also, tolerance towards failure also has come down, individually also and collectively also. That social what you can say, the comfort between each other also has gone down. So all these particular thing, if I look at an individual right in the center and draw the entire influence and the factors, there are a lot of things applying on an individual to carry out on this particular thing. I think we should view this topic and this conversation from that perspective. There are more to do with lot of compounded factors applying on an individual's behavior than an individual's ability to change and perform and prove to somebody. We need to be mindful about all these factors, is what I would suggest as an initial pitch. Yeah.
Yes. So clearly it has become much more complex, and the task or expectations of an individual are much more strenuous compared to what they used to be earlier. Now so you have that expectations part, but our organizations, are the senior leaders, are they able to give the modern employee what they need to excel at those expectations? Vikas, maybe you can.
So, first I want to respond to what Binu said. I think I see a different trend, which is the tolerance level of failure is going up from an organizational standpoint, not coming down. The entire ecosystem of startup which is coming is an outcome of that. If there was no tolerance to failure, you could not be having such a vibrant ecosystem of startups where failure is celebrated and 1 out of 100 will be successful. So, I think that's the first point I wanted to talk about. So, the second point of saying, I think between senior leadership and coming to the new employees, before that we must look at the journey of any organization which it has gone through, which I term as a mature organization or maturity of the organization. It's partly to do with the number of years that organization has been around. Also, the second contextual point would be, has it been across diverse businesses or singular businesses? Example in point, publicly you look at it, GE as an organization yesterday, it's a very mature organization. Fewer businesses today, if you look at where is GE, you would be really struggling to say where is GE. So, in that entire journey of that maturity of the organization, there will come a point in time where the current set of senior leadership versus the new entrant in the organization would have a divergent views for sure. But does it mean that either of them is wrong or either of them is 100% correct? I don't think that's right. It's always a question that the younger generation walking is have all the right to ask that question. Yes, you have been doing this way things in the past, does it mean you have to do it today? The senior leadership has got a heuristic, and more so in a successful organization, that it has always worked and stood with us in times in the way we have been doing things. Perhaps going forward also is the same thing. I am seeing a change there. The maturity of the organization versus the leadership of the organization, senior leadership of the organization, they are very much clued into and mature enough to say, understand the fact that what worked for us yesterday and perhaps today may certainly not work tomorrow. The acceptance is there. The tricky part is, how does that get manifested? Organization after organization, and I can speak on with the experience of working with variety of groups of people, is that we are different person when it comes to behaving as an individual, and when we collectively behave as an organization, we behave differently. Individually we are far more accommodative, but at collective heuristic of the organization comes into play, we are far more challenged to make that change. So, that's the way I see it.
So, I mean, I'll implore you to speak a little more. Yes, this is the case, but why is it so that that in an organization when 20, 30 or maybe bigger groups arrive and they, individually you ask them to vote on something, and then collectively in a public meeting you ask them to vote on something, the outcomes may be quite different?
See, the first point I mentioned about was clearly, in terms of saying, if an organization is successful over a period of time, that's one big thing which plays it out. If an organization has seen bouts of success and failures and success and failures, the chances of accepting a new way of doing things is much higher. If an organization has always been successful in whatever they have done, the chances their ability to accept something new is lesser. Most of the organizations, when I use the word, let me use the word mature and correspondingly organization which have spent number of years as an organization, possibly will display this more. 2025, you look at it, the ages of the successful organization, you will find two sets of organizations which are successful. They are large legacy organization, and I am using the legacy word is possibly two contexts. One is they are possibly 25, 30, 50 years old organizations, and perhaps from everybody's mind they are more rooted into legacy businesses, not necessarily tech led, not a startup kind of a thing. If you compare these two organizations, you will see organizations which are highly successful in legacy businesses, being a legacy organization, and hence their ability to say that that's the way it has always been done will continue. That's what I see. Would it always go in future also work for them? I am not so sure about it. There is another set of organizations who are born into 15, 20 years back, a little bit of a chaos, and I believe with tolerance of failure thrown in, they look at very differently. start with something, fail at something, do something, pivot into something new. At the end, their responsiveness and their ability to adjust to the changing environment is much faster. Why I say so is, I not want to pick a name of the organization. Let's say an organization which is into the world of creating rock solid infrastructure projects which run into 5 years, 10 years, cannot have a similar approach towards a tech startup which is building something which can destroy it in a manner. You build something, destroy something in a tech part. You got to have both. So, like I said, point one, success of your own organizations over a period of time, the industry context in which you are in, and third importantly is the senior leadership down to the younger person. An organization, if you really look at it, I am not talking about once again organizations which are 15 years old, any organization which is, let's say, 35, 40 years old, the senior leadership would be sitting at an age and experience group of 30 to 40 years of experience, age profile of 60s, with younger people walking in which age of 20, very different context. You take a recent organization of 15, 18 years of age, everybody is in that, 90% or 95% would be below the age of 40. So that also plays a role. So these, I think, individual organizations journey, people, their own context matters a lot.